Well, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode here with Dollars for Decker. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As I tell you, every single week, I will come and bring the absolute fire with the goal of basically trying to change your ability to create wealth in your life for future generations in the face of the hardships that we continue to face, where the governments around the world to continue to print our dollar, waste our tax dollars. And so my goal in this is to increase your financial IQ, to help you outsmart what is being done behind our backs to steal wealth from us through taxation and inflation. And today I'm going to bring you something very, very close to my heart. I have been an entrepreneur in my mind since I was born, but in reality, since I was 21 years old. When I graduated top of my class with an accounting degree, had multiple offers at top CPA firms around the country. And why my family and everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, Brian. You've reached your goal. You are graduating top in your class. You're going to go become a CPA. Which offer are you going to take? Is it going to be Deloitte & Touche's offer? Is it going to be, Ernst & Young's offer? And I decided to go home and say, no, Mom and Dad, I know I just went for school for accounting and all this. I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to go start a business. I'm going to go start a barbecue island and outdoor kitchen customization company. And my dad was like, you're an absolute fool. You shouldn't be doing that. You want to go use your accounting degree, blah, 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 blah. And I, in 2004, at the good old wise age of just turning 22 years old, decided to enter into the world of becoming an entrepreneur. And I realized very quickly, no matter how many hours I worked, that even though I was working 7 days a week and was doing all these crazy things with myself and a business partner, that business failed and failed miserably, leaving me $40,000 in debt, a ruined, partnership, a foreclosed home, and I learned my lesson. And now here, 17 years later, in 2021, I have worked my way through just purely grinding, as well as some fortunate relationships I've formed, now successfully being able to be mentored and, at points in time calling very close friends, two separate billionaires within the industry. I was fortunate enough for a while to be mentored personally by Anthony Shea, who is the CEO of Loan Depot. And nowadays, I have the ability to be in a very, very small knit group of 10 of the top mortgage company owners in the entire country, to be personally mentored by Matt Ishbia, who in my opinion is probably one of the greatest entrepreneurs that has ever lived in our generation. He took a company at 23 years old and turned it in from 9 employees to now it is the largest wholesale mortgage lender in the country, and quickly gaining on the heels of Quicken Loans. He has amassed a fortune of, double-digit billions of dollars. He is now, a 10-figure individual in terms of net worth at only the age of 41 years old. And by surrounding myself with these types of people, I've been able to learn things in a very, in my opinion, quick period of time, but it was still over the 17 years. So what I am going to be focusing on this week in the episode is the 5 things that if I could go back in time in 2004 and sit down with myself and say, hey, Brian, I want you to live your life specifically by these 5 rules when it comes to business. If you do these 5 things, they will shortcut your life. They will help you, protect yourself against losses, and they will create a sense of business savviness and IQ that will propel you into the future. And so I want to take my time today and teach you guys these 5 principles that I have come to live by. Now, am I perfect in them? Absolutely not. Do I try to be better at them every day? Absolutely. Are they easy? No, they are not. But are they complex? No, they are not. So let's dive right into it. The first thing that I would tell myself is the power of saying no. Early on in my career, I said yes to everything. And don't get me wrong, there's some great opportunities that come with saying yes. But what ends up happening is as you start to build some momentum and you continue to say yes to everybody, you get pulled in 5,000 different directions and you end up with about 30 half-finished products. And I myself wanted to always say yes to people because I never wanted to be too big for my britches, because I remember what it was like when I would reach out to individuals and ask them for help and everyone just said no, and they did. Nobody ever helped me out growing in early on in my career. So I made it a very valiant point up until probably realistically about 2 years ago that I said yes to everything. I would go to coffee with anybody that asked me, anybody that would ask me for help. I would do that. I said yes to everything. People needed project assistance. I would say yes. Hey, Brian, can you do this? I would say yes. So I ended up getting to a point where I said yes to so many things that I actually was starting to detract from my life and, more importantly, detract from my focus. So what I believe in now is saying the power of no. And what do I say yes to? I say yes to my core goals at life. Right now, my core goals are the launch of a crypto company on educating individuals to really help remove all the FUD that is out there and to educate individuals so they don't make the same investing mistakes I do, is to bring about a mortgage company that basically has revolutionized the consumer experience. We're basically giving, interest rates that you would as the Costco approach, but the service of Nordstrom, and to be the absolute best father and husband I can and get to the point where I am creating, every single month, well over $100,000 a month in take-home income completely passively. Those are my goals. And I live and die by those goals now. And if what I am doing does not directly further one of those 4 goals, then I say no to it professionally now. I get hit up all the time, and it's not to be mean that, hey, Brian, can you do coffee? Brian, can you do this? And now the individuals that I truly see that'll fit into one of those goals of mine or who have been there from the very beginning with me, I go down and I sit down with them. And just this last weekend, both on Saturday morning and Sunday morning, I woke up extremely early and met 2 individuals for coffee and basically, poured my heart out on everything I need to know. So I still do that today. Why? Because these individuals fit within my goals. However, I say no to, hey, Brian, do you want to jump on this board? No, I do not. Hey, Brian, do you want to invest in this particular project that we're going to be going ahead and, doing a development of a housing project? No, I do not. Hey, Brian, can you go ahead and meet me for happy hour tonight? I want to ask you about this. No, I cannot. Hey, Brian, will you go and speak to this children's organization? Yes, I will. Why? Because it helps me become a better father to those that, may not have a father at that time. The power of saying no is so important. And because you have got to protect the one thing that you will never get back in life, and that is your time. Your time is your most valuable asset. And as you become busier and busier and busier, the simple thing of me getting gas, I no longer get gas in my car. Why? Because that's about, roughly speaking, about 20 hours a week of me spending time going and getting gas. 20 hours a week over the course of 52 weeks. You add that up, that's hours and hours and hours of time that I lose for doing something that I could have somebody else do. So I tell myself no things. And that's the other important thing. It's not just telling other people no, it's telling yourself no. If you're starting to go down a random project in life, you got to pull yourself back. You need to focus on bringing things to fruition, completing most important tasks, and telling yourself no when you go off on tangents. Because if you're anything like me and you have that visionary, you're constantly having that squirrel problem, right? Like squirrel, and you turn off to the right or turn off to the left and you go on this tangent. And telling yourself no is such an important lesson. Now, the second thing that I wish I had learned earlier in my career was never remove yourself from your golden goose. What do I mean is this. I've watched so many individuals around me that one particular item that they did created their wealth or created their success. Maybe that's, for an example, being a really good individual in terms of providing a very high level of service within a contracting industry, right? That you were the contractor that basically showed up on time, you went ahead and managed all of your projects, and you made a ton of money in your construction company. And then all of a sudden you get a whim that you decide out of nowhere that you want to be a house flipper. And what happens is you decide you want to go out there and start flipping houses, and you let go of your golden goose, what made you all your money, and you did not properly staff it. So what happens is your new pet project starts pulling away from your golden goose that made you all your money. And you start following this new vision and this new dream without setting up the ability for your existing company to perform at a better level when you were there daily managing it. Because we feel like we want to go ahead and do something maybe a little bit more glamorous or more sexy in life, and we want to have this new pet project, and we leave and we stop attending to our golden goose. And when you do that, you're not only just failing at your new business because you're not able to give 100% to it, but what funded the ability to have this new pet project, you have now let it go by the wayside. And now what you had built your reputation on and the success that you've built your reputation on, you have now gone ahead and lost that. I've seen so many of my dear friends with mortgage companies, they make a bunch of money in mortgage, and all of a sudden they just stop showing up at the office. They stop managing things the same way, and they decide that they want to go and do all these side projects and go do all these speaking engagements and coaching and all these things, all at the same time, they have not put in the proper management, proper processes. Remember, people, processes run businesses, and people just manage those processes. And if you don't have your processes in place, you do not have a business. If you cannot walk away for 2 weeks and your business cannot bring in revenue and run the same way without you, you do not have a business. You are simply a sole proprietor. You cannot remove yourself from the business and your business still runs. You are just an operator. You are not a business owner. And so I've watched that so many times, and I did this for a while too. I started making a bunch of money in mortgage, and what I decide, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start these other projects. I'm going to go start an exotic car company. I'm going to go out there and maybe start dabbling and buying a bunch of rental properties, which was fine. Don't get me wrong. These things were great ambitions, but the problem was I did not have the foundation in my business that when I could divert my attention, it would run better or just as good without me. And so I've seen this happen so many times. And the best testament I can ever do is you never, ever want to leave the source that made you great. So me, I know with my mortgage company, what we did is we are a very high touch service mortgage company. Our customers, our agents, every single time, wow, that was the easiest and best and most communicative experience I've ever had within a complicated process of the mortgage industry. That is my golden goose. My golden goose is making sure that my clients feel that they at all times know exactly what's going on, and more importantly, are served far better than they ever had been served before. And that is where I do that. What does that mean? That means I don't want to automate to the point where they lose that experience. So my golden goose is providing that very high level of customer service. Now, can I make it more efficient? And I have, absolutely. I've done lots of things. I have somebody running my email now. I have different KPIs that I manage so I can know exactly where we're at in the process rather than manually doing things. I still have people call and do, direct voice service updates. So I've never let my golden goose for the sake of just being more efficient in something. I'm still at the office very early. I still stay here late because I'm still building that perfection. And what I mean by that is you never want to outgrow what made you great. And if you remember that and you stay grounded on that, and Matt Ishbia, the owner of UWM, said it great to me. And I asked him, I said, Matt, you now run a 9,600 person company. What do you decide to focus on and not focus on? And he said, Brian, I don't give a crap what our accounting system is. Don't even know it. Really don't care what HR service we use. I really, truly do not care about 90% of the random task-oriented things. What I focus all of my time on and make every decision for is something that affects my customer. If it affects my customer, I make that decision. So in my business, what affects the customer is you. You are my customer as a wholesale mortgage banker or wholesale mortgage broker. So what affects you? The ease and the ability to get a loan through my system. The rate at which, the interest rates at which I offer you, the speed at which I fund, the programs at which I can offer. All of those types of things are what directly affects my consumer. And if it affects my consumer, then I make that decision. The customer experience is the most important thing. And if you focus on the experience of that customer, the money will follow. And that is always sinking into me, which is super important. And if you're just kind of tuning in right now, what I'm basically taking you guys through is I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. I've lost my butt twice, and I finally feel like I'm at the point in myself where I'm finally finding myself after 17 years of being an entrepreneur. And if I could go back in time and make sure that I could go ahead and tell myself a few things at this time, these are the 5 principles that I would go over. The first being the ability to say no, that being a yes man to everything ultimately is absolutely crushing your ability to be successful. You need to say yes to the things that directly push you towards your goals in life, that are both finite in terms of they're measurable, as well as they are specific in terms of your goals. Say yes to those, say no to anything outside of that when it comes to your business decisions. The second thing is never remove yourself from your golden goose with your business. Whatever made your business great, as you grow and expand, never take your finger off of that. Let things go that are task-oriented things. Never let things go that you can make the decision based on what got you to being great. So as Matt Ishbia told me, that is the customer experience. Anything that affects his customer's experience with him, he will never let go. And I've taken that to heart. And that's why every decision from a marketing aspect on how my brand is viewed to how my customer experiences that loan and gets communicated with, and all my referral partners on how they are serviced, I will never let those go. What I do let go is the ability to respond to a task-oriented email as myself, the ability to send a spreadsheet video overview to a client that's a task-related things. Anything that's task-related, I can put a system and a process in place for it and measure people's actions. Anything that is going to come from an experience that is my name, my brand on this business, that I want my clients to know and feel when they hear Modern Lending and when they feel this is, Brian Decker's touch on this, it has to be me, which is why I do all my content and all of that. So I will never take my finger off my golden goose. The third thing is making sure when you're looking at a task or looking at growing or having another business, think about it in the mindset of this. When I wanted to first go ahead and launch the ability to really start investing in flipping houses, I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to learn how to flip houses? So what did I do? I started trying to learn about different contractors, what's good, what's a good home inspector, what's, kind of a good style to refurbish the house, what's a good area, how do I buy houses cheap, how do I, market them? It was how, Brian, how can I figure this out? And a gentleman by the name of Dan Sullivan, and if you have not read this book, Who, Not How, you need to do it. Dan Sullivan is an unbelievable individual. I believe he's around 80 years old. He's the most successful entrepreneur and business strategic coach on the planet. And he came up with a concept that I have adopted. And it's, you need to find a who, not a how. So anytime you think of a how on something, how can I do this? How can I learn this? Decide, is this a task that you need to figure out how to? Or is this something that you need just to find a who for? What I mean is by this. For an example, I'm launching a crypto company, right? I got contacted by two really big names in the space about being a spokesman and an educator in this crypto platform. So when they brought it to me, I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? I don't have the time to do this. How am I going to go ahead and, build out this platform? How am I going to do all this analysis for all this? It was how. And I remember what Dan said. It's not how. If it's a how, can I find a who to do it? And can that who do it better than me? So what did I do? I went out and I hired a company by the name of Go Empirical. What they do is this company takes digital products that are a digital vision in your mind, and they are a full CTO, CEO, development team, everything in there to take a business from inception to market and do it quickly. And my partner, Dan Habib, and I, Dan Habib is his father, Barry Habib, is probably the most well-recognized individual in the mortgage space. And Dan now obviously operates their company, MBS Highway. Dan is an unbelievable individual who had brought me this. And Dan and I both said, hey, you know what? We don't have the time to figure out the how. Let's find some who's. So we built a team around us, and they went ahead and hired everybody. Then we added, if we didn't know something, hey, how are we going to make sure that we can figure out and do all the research for this? I don't have time. You don't have to. Let's find a who. Because guess what? For every how out there, there is a who that can do better than it for you. And what they don't want, they can't create the vision that Dan and I created in our mind. But guess what? They are way better at doing data analysis work and taking all the research out there and organizing it in a PowerPoint presentation and delivering it to Dan and I so we can now go ahead and siphon through it. There's a who out there that's way better at determining and analyzing what the best platform would be to host this educational platform and live update system. So we went ahead and put all these who's in place because these who's, what they wanted to find was they wanted to find a who that can take them and had a vision that they can be involved in a business. Because for them, the most difficult thing that they procrastinated on was, dang, how do these people think of these really good ideas to launch these companies, right? And in my mind, I have no problem coming up with great ideas for companies. My gift is the ability to have a vision and actually jump in with both feet and figure it out the way I do it. And in my mind is like, how do these people learn how to develop these awesome, online platforms? That's crazy. I'm going to look into this. Well, to them, that's easy. And for what I do, that is easy to me is super hard for them. So then you're able to build these amazing teams. And the best way I kind of do a measurable route on this is I just say, am I procrastinating on this? So for an example, if I procrastinate on a particular thing, I have my to-do list, which I'm going to get into here in a minute. And if I procrastinate that over and over again, I look at it and say, okay, am I just procrastinating on this because it's uncomfortable, meaning making that hard phone call to somebody or something like that? Or am I procrastinating on this because I know there's a lot of work and a high barrier of entry and I'm not really confident in my ability to be able to complete this task quickly? It seems like a major barrier. And if it's the second, a major barrier of entry and a lot of tasks, I realize I'm procrastinating because I'm not the right person to do that task. So I need to find a who that can help me implement that task, right? And so now I have a great group of who's around me. So I'm going to be able to launch a company called Crypto Charged, launch a company from inception in April, and it's going to hit the market in middle of September. Okay, full force, full blown, dialed in, ready to rock and roll. And done that all in 6 months. And guess how much time I've spent on it? Maybe 5 hours a week. I have 3 1.5-hour vision meetings a week. And I'm going to have launched a company that's probably going to be 700 hours worth of manpower from individuals. And I will have spent probably 100 hours total between Dan and I combined, maybe a little more. But think about that. Because we found who's, we didn't try to figure out the how. Now, the other part that goes along with that, and the fourth thing that I wish I would have learned early, is stop thinking and making decisions with what we think we know. Measure everything with KPIs. Okay. Basically, your data won't lie. So case in point, in my mortgage company, when I went through everything, I thought my front end was super powerful. I thought the best thing about modern lending was the ability that we had 2 highly trained, skilled ISAs, which are internal sales associates, that remodeled the mortgage industry. Rather than loan officers making outbound calls, because loan officers get lazy, I'll be straight up, I hired 2 extremely great individuals that pounded the phones, calling our clients, answering their questions, worked all of our realtor leads, all of our leads in there, and generated a ton of applications because they were calling and I paid them based on getting the application in the door, not based on the loan funding. So rather, as a loan officer, many times will kill the deal because they just, that person's not going to have good enough credit. They don't sell the deal, or they don't give it the same effort because they see the commission check at the end and they're like, this commission check isn't going to be right away. So I thought basically that it would be a really great idea to put 2 of them up there. And I thought it was going great. Then I implemented and spent $500,000 implementing a very robust system that measured all of my KPIs, measuring how many phone calls were coming in, all these applications, all of this. And we looked, and to the credit of my business partner, Taylor Loop, he said, hey, I don't think we have enough people on the front end. That was what his gut feeling was. My gut feeling was we're completely fine on the front end. Taylor's gut feeling, we hired 4 more individuals. Now, what we did is we measured the KPIs in, and we now organize the direction of those leads based on who converts the highest, based on the type of lead, wherever the lead's coming from and all of that. And we allocated it. Now we have 6 individuals instead of 2 on the front end. I added no more lead sources. And from March of this year in 2021 to July of 2021, our increase, we were averaging about 200 applications a month coming in the door to our mortgage company. We're a small regional mortgage company, and I was super happy with 200 a month. I changed no lead sources. I just followed the KPIs that we probably needed to reassign the individuals, and we needed more individuals to make those calls. We now just did 440 applications for the month of July. Mind you, there's no big change in interest rates. There was no big change in demand. Technically, mortgage applications are down between March of 2021 and July of 2021. But yet, how did my applications more than double, went up 150%? Is because what I did is I made a business decision based on the KPIs and the data. If you don't know your data, you're flying blind with your business. My good friend Kyle Kelly, who owns the largest patio cover company in the country, said something that will always stick with me. He goes, revenue is for vanity, margins are for sanity. What that means is people, especially real estate agents, a lot of times say, my GCI, my gross commissions were $10 million. Okay, who cares? What was your profit? What were your margins, right? So what we means is if you don't know your margins and you don't know what lead source is converting the best, you don't know who on your team has the highest conversion, you don't know exactly where your bottlenecks are in your process, you need to measure your KPIs and make your business decisions based on data and not based on feelings. Because I'll tell you right now, I was wrong on a lot of parts. And now for the 5th one and final one, I'm going to make you guys tune in next week, because this is one of the ones that changed my entire life on the way I live my day. Most people see my schedule if they follow me on social media, my Instagram at @TheBrianDecker. I get all the time, oh my gosh, how do you get all that done in a day? First off, I do work a lot. I get up at 4 a.m. and I usually don't get home till 6:30 or so, but I don't work weekends anymore. And they see what I get accomplished in a day, and it's completely the way I completely remodeled my daily routine and my time structure by the way I time block and how I handle my tasks. So I guarantee you, make sure you're going to want to tune into this next week for the fifth and final reason that I would go back in time and tell myself to, Brian, get your butt in gear. I'm going to teach you how to grow your business from being a negative net worth to having an 8-figure net worth, and you're going to do these 5 things. And so tune in for us next week. I guarantee you what I'm going to teach you guys on time schedule, time blocking, and the way I structure my day will blow your mind. It's simple, it's super easy and implementable. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, thanks for tuning in with Dollars and Decker. Decker out.